Today we are going to review the most commonly used commands in Linux, how to navigate directories, list directory contents, create files, and many more. Hello and welcome back to Unicast Administrators. Today we are going to achieve another milestone, learning and running commands inside the Linux terminal after we have completed our initial operating system installation. So stay tuned for what comes next. So let's discuss our first command, which is pwd, and this stands for print working directory, and this basically shows you in which location you are currently in. And if we hit enter, you will see that I am inside the directory of Johnny, so I'm inside his home directory. You see that I am already logged on as root, but because I am inside Johnny's home directory, here it's where it also prompts us with the name of the location where we are currently in. And you can double check that by, for example, looking into your activities by pressing the window key button from your keyboard and going on files. And if we go on other locations inside the computer, you'll see we will have a lot of directories that start directly from the root mount point. And we're going to have to look for our home directory, which is here, and inside home you see the user Johnny, and here we can see the content of the directories and files that are already inside the home directory for user Johnny. This is one way to see it using the graphical user interface, but we will focus only on the terminal. So we showed exactly where we are with the pwd command, and now in order to see what is inside the home directory of the user Johnny, we do an ls, which stands for list. And now we can see the contents of the home directory for Johnny. So we have, for example, the last directories that we created last time, which are new folder 2, 3, and new, and we can see the same folders here. So we have new folder 3, new folder 2. There are a lot of combinations and additional arguments that you can pass to the ls command, to the list command, so that you can change the way or the order that the files are showing up on your screen inside your terminal. And if you want to see how many available commands you have, you can type in the command man, which is an abbreviation for the word manual and the name of your command. So in our case, man ls will prompt us with the official manual page from Linux for this command, and it will show us a lot of examples. So for example, here you have a small description of what the ls command does, what -a stands for. For example, you can use the abbreviation -a, or you can use the word itself with -all to list everything. This will also include that you'll have hidden directories that will start with a dot, and we will show this immediately. We also have -c to list entries by columns. We also have one combination that I like a lot, which is to use long listing, and I think everyone uses it because I like to see everything in a list format. And we also have options like reverse to change the order that everything shows up on your screen. So the most recent entries in that case would be on the bottom of the page. So let's press Q here for quit, and let's try a few commands. So in order to, by the way, you have noticed that I cleared my screen. I did that by pressing the Ctrl+L in order to clear my screen, or you can type in the command clear. By typing the command clear, you'll clear your screen so you can have a better window. So let's try the command ls -l, and let's see the output compared to ls. So if ls shows the content one next to each other, ls -l for long listing shows a long list starting from top to bottom. Now the order here might change. You see that, for example, the first directory 3, it's the first one and it has been created at this date, but we also have another one that is created at the same hour, at the same day, but the order is different. If you want to change that, and if you want to see files based on the modified date, you can type in ls-l and you add a t for time, and once you do that, this will show you the files rearranged by time. And if you want to see, for example, when you use ls-lt for time, it will show the most recent file or the last modified date of the file or the directory. It will show it on top. If you want to see this at the bottom, you can rearrange this by using the command ls-ltr, which stands for long listing based on time, and R stands for reverse. Once I hit enter, you will see that this time the most recent files or the last modified files are rearranged at the bottom of the screen. Now you can choose whichever option you prefer. I personally always go with this option because when I'm working and I have a lot of information on my screen, it's easier for me to see everything at the bottom and rearrange them based on time and reverse that search so that I can always see the most recent ones at the bottom. There are also files inside Linux that you cannot see only with this option because they are hidden, and usually the files that are hidden are the ones that are starting with a dot in front of them. So if we type in ls-l, we will not see those files, and in order to get bypass that, so we can also see the files, you can type in ls-la, which again, L is for long listing and A stands for all, absolutely everything. And you will see now that we also have some files that are starting with a dot, and these are the files, for example, anything with bash_history, bash logout, bash_profile, and bash rc. These are the configuration files for the user Johnny inside his shell environment, where you can customize the font, the color, where you can create aliases. And aliases basically are just some commands that you run and you give them like a label, so you can create custom commands using aliases, and we will discuss about those later on. But what I wanted to show you is that you adding an A to the ls command will show you all of the hidden files as well. And if we want to see that inside the directory root, we can proceed with discussing about our next command, which is the cd command, which stands for change directory. So if I type in pwd, now you see that I am inside the slash directory, which is where everything starts inside Linux, and we have here the slash mount point. And if we type in an ls-la here, you will see that we have everything from the home directory, where if we go again inside that home directory, we'll see the user Johnny, and we have the media, mount point, MNT, where actually we have additional mounts created when you connect an USB cable or an additional disk to your system, and many more. So if I want to go back to the user Johnny's home directory, we type in cd/home/ and we can type in just the letter J, and if you don't know the entire name, you can just press tab and this will auto complete. If you want to list everything inside the Johnny's directory without going there, you just change to ls-l. So let's get back to our discussion about changing directory, cd. So in order to change directory, let's presume that we want to go to Johnny. Let me just remove this. This is an error that I get because I have not activated inside my operating system the configuration for the second network adapter, which is perfectly fine, so we can ignore that. So let's go to change our directory to Johnny back. So now we are again back in the Johnny home directory. If we type in pwd, we can see that there are two ways that you can change to your home directory of the user that you are currently logged on to. So since I am logged on as the root user, I can just type in the command cd, and this will automatically take me to the home directory of the root user. And if we type in a print working directory, you'll see that I am in /root, but I'm not in /. And this is because the actual home directory of the root user is /root, not root. Root is just the mount point from where the actual tree of the file system and its location starts. If we do an ls-l on /, you will see that the root directory, it's right here on this line, which is right here. So if we would want to change to any of these locations using the cd command, for example, if you want to change to tmp, which is a location, a directory where temporary files are stored and they are automatically wiped upon reboot. If we want to change here to this tmp mount point, we would just type in cd/tmp. Let me clear my screen using the command clear or Control L, and if I type in a pwd, I'm right here inside tmp. Now pay attention to the difference that we have here. So if I type in cd again without anything and I press enter, I'm back into the root directory, because it automatically, the cd command without any argument automatically takes you to the home directory of the user that you are currently logged on to. And if I type in again cd to temp, and if I type in cd and the tilde sign, you'll see that this also takes me back to the root directory, because tilde and cd without anything or cd with a tilde, both of them, both commands take you back to the home directory of the user that you are currently logged on as. And if I would like to test that with the user Johnny, we can just type in su Johnny, and that will automatically switch me back to the user Johnny, because since I was root, it does not ask me for a password to do that. So now you can see that I am inside the root directory, because it already kept my last location active. And now we can just type in cd as the user Johnny, and you will see this tilde symbol again, which basically means that I am inside my home directory, in our case the home directory for user Johnny. And if we press pwd again, if we type in pwd and press enter again, we are inside home Johnny. And there are a few combinations that you can use with the cd command as well. So for example, if I type in cd and then space and 2 dots, this will take me out of the user Johnny's home directory, and it will take me to the home location only. So now if I type in a pwd, you will see that I am inside home, but I'm not inside Johnny anymore. So 2 dots basically means that I went with one step back from the child directory to the parent directory. And I can just type in cd again. I'm again right here, and if I type in cd with only 1 dot, this won't do anything, because 1 dot stands for the local directory, which is basically right here where we currently are. So 1 dot does not do anything. Only 1 dot basically represents the location that you are currently in. If you want to go to your parent directory, you can type in 2 dots. So cd ... will take us back to home. The next command that we can discuss about would be the mkdir command, which is used to create new directories / folders inside the directory that you are currently working on or in any other directory. So let's just type in pwd to see where we currently are, and we are inside home, but we are not inside Johnny home. So because Johnny currently does not have root permissions, because we have not set it up, which we will do on a later video, we will have to go inside Johnny, his own home directory, and now we can see which folders we currently have, or which directories, to be more precise, we have here. And we discussed a bit about mkdir in our episode 1, where we installed our first Linux server, but we'll discuss about mkdir a bit more in detail here. So mkdir, as I already said, stands for make directory. Basically this means that this command allows us to create directories inside our working environment. So if I would like to make a new directory, let's call it new /directory, and if we list everything again using the time and in a reverse search, we will see that new directory is at the bottom of our page, because we sorted by time and in a reverse way as well, so that we can always see the most recent files or the last modified files we will always see at the bottom. If you want to remove this, you just use ls-lt without this command. There are a lot of combinations that we can use with mkdir. For example, one that I like the most is that if I would like to create a new directory, actually if I would like to set up multiple directories at once, we could use something like this. So let's say that we want to call our new directories my data, and you open some curly brackets, and from here you type the word the letter 1, you press 2 dots, and you go up until, let's say, 10. Running this command will automatically create me 10 directories with the name my data, instead of actually having to create and to run manually the command 10 times. So if I run mkdir like this, and I use ls-ltr to sort everything recursive by timestamp, and we press enter, we will see that we have my data 1, my data 2, my data 3, 4, 5, and so on up until 10. Now one important thing to remember, it's the fact that you need permissions in Linux to run the commands. That means that if I would try to run an ls command or an mkdir command to create a directory in a file or inside the directory where I do not have permissions to do that, I will not be able to do that. If, for example, I would like to create a directory inside the root home directory, let's try to run this as, let's give it a name, newdir. So if I try to use mkdir/root, that stands for the home directory of the root user, and if I would like to create a new directory called newdir inside root with mkdir command, you'll see that I cannot do that. It's giving me permissions denied. And that's for the simple fact that, for example, Johnny does not have access inside the root, and also mkdir requires administrative privileges in order to do that in any other directories. You can run mkdir and you can run any commands on any directory where you have permissions, just not where you don't have permissions. We can give Johnny permissions, but we'll do that later on. We could also try, let's say, to add it inside home directory, and here let's give new dir 2, and I don't have permissions here either. So because I have not set the new directory to be created specifically inside Johnny's home directory, I cannot create it inside home, but I can change directory to get inside home. I just cannot create files here, and that's on purpose, because if we do an ls minus ld, which by the way we haven't discussed, so we are discussing about this now. ls minus ld stands for long listing of the directory, and dot stands for local directory. Because I'm inside home, it will show me what permissions are applied to the home directory. And you will see that in order to create files here, you have to be either the user root or the root group. So because Johnny is not part of that, we cannot create files inside home directory. We can only list. And we can list files because the permissions for others, which is the last X on this column, it's on execute. So execute allows you to change directory and to list, but you don't have read rights, so you cannot do that either. In that case, we can create a new directory inside the TMP. So for example, if I would like to list what we have inside TMP directory, we can see that we have some temporary files. Inside the temporary files, any user can create documents and files, so we can do just that. We can create a test directory inside temp, and let's give it a name, mydir2. And if we do a long listing on TMP recursive, we'll see that we have 2 new files created here. We are going to wrap up the first episode here of running the most commonly used commands, where we had a look at how to list directories, create new files, and many more. So stay tuned for episode 2, where we will continue further on with showing you how you can remove directories, remove files, create new empty files, and many more. Stay tuned for episode 2. Thank you. Cheers.